For God so loved the world that he gave his one and only Son, that whoever believes in him shall not perish, but have eternal life. For God did not send his Son into the world to condemn the world, but to save the world through him. Whoever believes in him is not condemned. But whoever does not believe stands condemned already, because they have not believed in the name of God's one and only Son.
So we see that the serpent, or Satan, actually defiled Eve, and Eve was the one who gives birth to both Satan's seed and Adam's seed. She is the mother of who?
All living.
All living. Both that of Adam and not of Adam. They both came forth through Eve. See? So Eve was defiled, and then when Adam laid back with her, what happened to his rod?
It was defiled.
The snake crawled into his rod, didn't it? Sin and death got into Adam through what?
Sex.
His rod.
That's why there's I guess it's a law about if a woman commits adultery, that is the one condition for divorce, because if she commits adultery and goes back to her husband, then he then becomes defiled by whomever she laid with.
Absolutely. And who did Eve lay with?
Satan.
Satan, right? But how can we prove that? Let's go to it here. Let's go back to the screen. What do we have here?
The Baphomet.
Mm-hmm.
Madonna.
Yeah, but who is Madonna representing?
The Baphomet.
Yes, she is. But she's a woman.
Mm-hmm.
So she's also representing who?
Eve.
Eve. So we see here Baphomet, who is a fallen angel. But what do we have here? What do we have right there?
Snakes.
What's in between the snakes?
His penis.
A rod, a scepter, a staff. Let's go to it. I hate even looking at these names. But we're doing it to show the connection and glorify Yahushua.
Yes, and he had breasts.
What's this?
That's a rod.
That's a rod. So how can people see this and understand that this is a rod and know that this is representative of his loins? But then when they see rod in the scripture, say, oh, there's no connection. But the whole scripture is about the body of Yahushua.
Because the host, they wanted to act like he was a eunuch.
Mm-hmm. So if we have these serpents entwined around his rod or his scepter or his staff, if this goes into Eve, what do you think happened to Eve?
She got defiled.
Say it again.
She got defiled.
And if then Adam then puts his rod inside of Eve, what happens to Adam's rod?
It gets defiled.
You see why Moses ran?
Mm-hmm.
1 Corinthians, what is that? Maybe 6? Hold it there. Hold it there.
Sister Michelle asked, would a woman's area also be considered the Garden of Eden symbolically?
Absolutely. Yes.
So where did you say? Where are we going?
1 Corinthians 6.
The book of 1 Corinthians chapter 6, beginning at verse 15. Know ye not that your bodies are members of Messiah?
Mm-hmm.
Shall I then take the members of Messiah and make them the members of an harlot?
What member do you think this is talking about?
The rod.
His finger? Are you going to make your fingers the member of a harlot? Are you going to make your knee the member of a harlot?
No.
Your elbow?
Nope.
What member is going to be joined with a harlot?
Your loins.
Your rod, your loins. Excellent. Go ahead.
God forbid.
God forbid. We shouldn't be laying with whores and whoremongers. Read.
16. What? Know ye not that he which is joined to an harlot is one body? For the two, saith he, shall be one flesh. But he that is joined unto Yahuwah is one spirit.
Mm-hmm.
Flee fornication.
Read it again.
Flee fornication.
Read it one more time.
Flee fornication.
Exodus 4. By Shem Yehoshua. Exodus 4 and 3. Read it.
The book of Exodus chapter 4 verse 3. And he said, cast it on the ground, and he cast it on the ground, and it became a serpent.
It became what?
A serpent.
A serpent.
And Moses fled from before
what?
it. He fled from before it.
What does that mean, fled?
He ran.
1 Corinthians 6. Read it again in case they missed it.
1 Corinthians chapter 6.
18.
Verse 18. Flee
fornication. Is it making sense to you now?
Yes.
You see why Moses ran spiritually? When you cast your rod downward to the devil and use it for his purposes, instead of upward for Adam's seed, for Yehoshua's seed, versus downward for Satan's seed. Flee fornication. Exodus 4, one more time, for those who just quite didn't get it yet.
Exodus chapter 4, verse 3.
Yes.
And he said, cast it on the ground. And he cast it on the ground, and it became a serpent.
And Moses fled or flee
from
before it. So we see now a rod or a scepter entwined by serpent. And Yehoshua had to take on that sin and become that rod that Adam used to cleanse us of our sins. So now when we go back and we see now this rod entwined with serpents, now do you understand what happened to Eve and how her womb was defiled? You see? Do you see? Her womb became defiled.
Wow.
Daughters of Zion, when you use your womb upwards, it's a garden of Eden. If you cast your womb downwards, it's the mouth of a serpent, swallowing men whole. So, Moses now had to do signs and wonders with this rod, didn't he? Let's go back to Exodus. Exodus chapter 7. Let's do Exodus 7 and let's start at verse 1.
The book of Exodus chapter 7, beginning at verse 1. And Jehovah said unto Moses, See, I have made thee a god to Pharaoh.
A what?
A god to Pharaoh.
To Pharaoh.
And Aaron thy brother shall be thy prophet.
And Aaron is now the prophet of the God-man Moses. Amazing, isn't it? They're the two witnesses who testify of Yehoshua. Yehoshua is the law. Moses is the law. The law of Moses. So who's Aaron?
The prophet.
Absolutely. Two witnesses that testify of who?
Yahushua.
Yehoshua the Messiah. Out of the mouth of 2 or 3 witnesses shall every matter be established. Yehoshua is the scion. He is the scepter. Moses is the law. Aaron is the prophet. Verse 8.
The book of Exodus chapter 7 verse 8. And Jehovah spake unto Moses and unto Aaron, saying, When Pharaoh shall speak unto you, saying, Show a miracle for you, then thou shalt say unto Aaron, Take thy rod.
Wait. So Moses has a rod, but so does Aaron. Read it again.
When Pharaoh, verse 9, when Pharaoh shall speak unto you, saying, Show a miracle for you, then thou shalt say unto Aaron, Take thy rod.
Thy rod. Aaron has his own rod. So there's only one person who Yehoshua trusted with his rod. That was Moses. Because he knew Moses would flee fornication. Didn't Moses flee fornication? Didn't he flee from the serpent? Did Aaron flee fornication?
No, because Aaron built the calf.
Say it again.
Aaron built the calf. He did not flee.
He did not flee fornication. He did not flee fornication. Moses was trusted in all Yah's house, but Aaron did not flee fornication. He led the children of Israel into fornication.
So that it's Aaron's rod that becomes the serpent?
In this case, yes. Now Aaron's rod becomes a serpent. Because Yehoshua didn't trust Aaron with his rod. Moses holds the rod of God, of Elohim, but Aaron has his own. Go ahead.
10. And Moses and Aaron went in unto Pharaoh, and they did so as Jehovah had commanded. And Aaron cast down his rod before Pharaoh and before his servants, and it became a serpent. Then Pharaoh also called the wise men and the sorcerers, now the magicians
wise men and sorcerers.
Now the magicians of Egypt, they also did in like manner with their enchantments.
Or with their witchcraft.
For they cast down every man his rod, and they became serpents, but Aaron's rod swallowed up their rods.
So they cast down their rods too. So Pharaoh pulls out his rod, and Aaron pulls out his rod, and now they're going to have a sword fight or a stick fight with their rods to see whose seed will prevail in the end. We're going to look at this spiritually. This is really about seed, or the scions that come out of these rods. One is the Messiah, one ultimately is the anti-Messiah. They both going to have scions. But whose is going to prevail in the end? So what did Pharaoh and his magicians bring forth?
Their serpents, their rods.
Let's go back to the screen. See this abomination? How many serpents are there?
2.
Read it again for those that missed it.
Which verse?
The last verse you just read. 12.
The book of Exodus chapter 7 verse 12. For they cast down every man his rod, and they became serpents.
How many magicians did Pharaoh have?
2.
How do you know that?
Because they both cast down a snake, and there's 2 snakes.
Excellent, my son. You see 2 twisted serpents there, 2 twisted snakes, right? Because they came from 2 of his magicians. Jannes and Jambres. Who's Jannes and Jambres? Do y'all know?
No.
Let's go to 2 Timothy 3 and 8. Hashem Yehoshua, hallelujah, amen. Let's start at verse 6.
1 Timothy.
3 and verse 6.
The book of 1 Timothy chapter 3 beginning at verse 6. Not a novice, lest being
sorry, 2 Timothy. Did I say first?
Yeah.
I meant 2 Timothy, sorry.
All right. 2 Timothy 3 and 6.
Mm-hmm.
For of this sort are they which creep into houses and lead captive silly women, laden with sins, led away with diverse lusts.
What does that mean? Nobody? So you have wicked men who can manipulate or deceive women because these women are filled with what? Yes? Lust. Fornication. So now we see women who are supposed to be spiritual and they're being deceived by fornication, right? Mm-hmm. Let's go.
7. Ever learning and never able to come to the knowledge of the truth. Now as Jannes and Jambres withstood Moses.
Who withstood Moses?
Jannes and Jambres.
Where did they withstand Moses?
With Pharaoh.
With Pharaoh. So how many snakes were on the ground?
2.
Does it make sense now?
Okay.
you see? And this is what people want to worship. Who was Jannes and Jambres? Read.
The screen or the scripture?
The scripture.
The book of 2 Timothy chapter 3 verse 8. Now as Jannes and Jambres withstood Moses, so do these also resist the truth. Men of corrupt minds reprobate concerning the faith.
So reprobates concerning the faith, and women filled with lust like to lay with these type of men and be deceived by these type of men and allow these type of men into their house instead of a true man of God. Read.
Verse 9. But they shall proceed no further, for their folly shall be manifest unto all men, as there also was.
By Shem Yehoshua. So now their folly is being made plain right here, right now. They're being exposed. So who was Jannes and Jambres?
The magicians of Pharaoh.
The magicians of Pharaoh. Let's see if they talk about them. Yeah, they do. They are
called the sons of Balaam.
The sons of Balaam. Who's Balaam? Y'all remember Balaam? The man who rode the donkey and he was hired to curse Israel. Anybody gonna speak? Y'all gonna sit there? Okay. Can I get some feedback?
The one that that Judith threw the stone and then.
Nope.
It was one with that the king of the Amorites, I think.
Moabites, I think.
Moabites. He had sent to put a curse on Israel, but Yahuwah turned it into a blessing.
Very good. And he rode on an ass, and he saw the angel Yahuwah, and he was beating the ass because he wouldn't go any further. You can turn the screen. He was beating the donkey or the ass because the donkey wouldn't go any further because he saw the angel of Yahuwah, who was Yehoshua, getting ready to kill them. Y'all remember now?
Okay.
Jannes and Jambres, Pharaoh's magicians, are the sons of that man. So they had those two serpents against Aaron's rod. So you see, the war is really started with fornication, sex in the body of Yehoshua. And the war still is with fornication. So we start seeing, as we read Exodus, the 7th chapter, that when the men of Israel, in this case represented by Moses and Aaron, when they actually lifted up the rod, what began to happen?
You mean when they picked it back up?
When they lifted up the rod.
The snake turned back into a rod?
Yeah, but we're kind of looking for something else a little different.
Moses' snake swallowed the rest of the snakes.
Yeah, but even after that, let's go to it, I guess. Exodus 7.
Are you talking about the plagues that or things he started to do
Yes.
with the rods after
They were
that?
actually, when they lifted up their rods, instead of throwing them downwards, then the Most High started to do signs and wonders and began to set them free from captivity. So, men of Judah and Israel, when you learn to pick up your rods and not use it for fornication, that's how much closer we are to being saved. Daughters of Zion, when you're ready to turn your womb into a garden of Eden instead of the mouth of a serpent, then Yahushua can work signs and wonders to get us free out of it. But y'all want to get mad at people for telling y'all not to commit fornication instead of repenting so that we can all be that much closer to being delivered from this captivity. Exodus 7.
You want to pick up at?
No, let's go to verse 17.
The book of Exodus, chapter 7, verse 17.
Well, let's do 16. Go ahead.
Begin at verse 16. And thou shalt say unto him, Yahweh God of the Hebrews hath sent me unto thee, saying, Let my people go.
Let my people go. Yahushua wants to set his people free from captivity.
That they may serve me in the wilderness, and behold.
Aren't we trying to get out of this America, this Babylon, so we can go into the wilderness? Okay.
And behold, hitherto thou wouldest not hear. Thus saith Yahweh, in this thou shalt know that I am Yahweh. Behold, I will smite with the rod that is in mine hand upon the waters which are in the river, and they shall be turned to blood.
And the waters of the river shall be turned to blood. What bodies of water were in the Garden of Eden? Oceans? Lakes?
Wasn't there a river?
Rivers were in the Garden of Eden. Right? So, if rivers were in the Garden of Eden, and the children of Israel began to take up their rods, let's go to the screen. Waters come out of this garden. Or what else?
Blood.
Blood. Don't you notice that every country in the Bible, in every city in the Bible, when it's mentioned, is it known as a male or a female?
Female.
So every land in the scripture is mentioned as a female. So if he's going to turn the waters into blood, this blood is a curse and a defilement. So men of Israel, when you take up your rods and flee fornication, he will take this society and the wretchedness of and the filthiness of it, and he'll turn it into blood. Well, they will be cursed. Right now, we are under the curse. Israel is under the curse through fornication. But as soon as you learn to control your rods, he will start to curse this land. But as long as we're in fornication, he won't bring plagues on this Egypt. So he'll bring curses on the womb of America and all of the nations that we're scattered in when we learn to control ourselves and our lust. These waters of their wombs will turn into blood. And he'll bring curses on these places, but he can't do it as long as we're in fornication. But when the rod is lifted up in righteousness, he turns their waters into blood. But the children of Israel, didn't they have pure water to drink? Let's read.
The book of, the book of Exodus chapter 7, verse 17. Thus saith Yahweh, in this thou shalt know that I am Yahweh. Behold, I will smite with the rod that is in mine hand upon the waters which are the river, and they shall be turned to blood.
They shall be turned to blood. Keep this in mind.
And the fish that is in the river shall die, and the river shall stink.
Right now, the wombs of our women are under the curse. But if we flee fornication like Moses did, then their wombs are under a curse, and they will be filled of blood, and their wombs will start to stink like dead fish. Sex in the body of Messiah. Sex in the body of Messiah. When you learn to flee fornication, he will curse this nation for their sins against us. And as our daughters are under a curse in their wombs and our children, through that womb, he will bring it on the Egyptians, aka the Edomites. But we're still holding on to this lust.